Okay, so ended up having to use a 60 watt bulb. The old 40 watt wouldn't even light the indicator lights on the amp. There's my 4's 7027As. Ampeg matched that. And so the bottom Ampeg is now fired up and reforming the caps. So that's the first power to it since 2010. So no smoke escaped from anywhere, so that's good. So I got the timer set on the refrigerator, and we'll let that run for 10 minutes like that. Shut it down and put the tubes back in there. I numbered them 1 through 4 so they can go right back in the same sockets. So everything should remain the same. So hopefully all's well and it works okay. We'll horrify the neighbors with 100 watts of Ampeg power. This one I got when I was 17. Paid $100 for it. And then this one I was probably 23 or 24. And I had repaired it for a guy because he kept blowing up his bridge rectifier diodes. And he would walk over and flip the power, the polarity, and the standby all at the same time. And just surge the thing out. So I told him, I says, turn the power on, let it warm up. After it's warm, hit the standby. Once the polarity's set, don't change it. You don't need to be flipping that back and forth. And he'd be, oh, okay. And he'd go over and do the same thing again and blow it up again. So then one day he's like, you can have it. I'm sick of it. I was like, okay. Cost me $5 to fix it again. And there you have it. So it's coming back to life now. I lost one of the knobs while it was up my brother's garage. And the reverb rheostat does not move. That potentiometer is frozen. So I'll probably throw a couple of drops of PB Blaster on where the shaft goes through the steel. See if that comes to life. These all feel kind of gritty. My original one's all nice and smooth. I think at one time I switched the reverb tanks on these because this one had better reverb, and this is the one that I used most of the time. Was the one I got when I was a teenager. But here we go, and there's the old crate 4x12 80 watt cab, and these things are 100 watts RMS, 260 watts peak. So that cabinet won't be happy for very long, but I'll try it. Once I get this reformed, we'll throw the power tubes back in there and plug a guitar in and give it a whirl and see how it goes. So yeah, I'm happy that things didn't blow up. That's good. Ampeg now under power. We'll let that run for 10 minutes like that. Power tubes are out. And this one had a full set of GE 7027As. I believe my uncle put those in for me back in, I don't know, 79 or 80, whenever I blew it up. And he showed me how to fix them. And so, no smoke escaped. No ugliness. Hopefully everything's happy when I put the power tubes back in it. Make some noise. Excited. So there's the old bulb limiter with a 60 watt in there. So I'll dig up a 100 watt bulb for that in case I have to do any others. I actually do have a 200 watt bipolar solid state amp that hasn't been fired up in just as long. But I'll have to get some speakers hooked up to that before I do that too. So, here it is. So, sadly, neither one of my amps fired up and functioned properly. Okay. So this one, it appears that this tube isn't doing anything. I can see the heaters and everything else, all the power tubes. And this one definitely has the power amp stage working. But when I plug the guitar in, I don't get any guitar sound out of it. So, Let's look at that again. That's that tube all the way over on the left in the front. So we'll swap that out. And I believe this one has one of the AX 12 AX7s that isn't working, or at least not showing anything. So we'll see if we can get them going with just a tube change. That would be nice. I found a site online where I can get the recap kits, and I'll recap both of these when I can afford it. But let's just see if we can get the preamp working on my old one here, the top one. That's the one I got when I was 17. So alright, we'll try that and come back to it. Okay. So I just swapped that out. And now we can faintly see the heaters in that tube going. Right, so now they're all going. Okay, so this was terrible humming when I touched the strings. So we'll come back at it, and I'll grab my guitar and see if we can't make some noise with it and hopefully not get electrocuted. But yeah, it seems to be all the tubes are lit up now. So it lives. There's definitely some ugly noises in there, hissing and staticky crap. My reverb is not working, but amp works. That's on 2. That's ridiculously loud, but no reverb. This thing had unreal reverb. Oh, look, it's trying. So we'll go in and look at that. That could just be oxidized connections. Let's get the RCA jacks that go into that spring tank. But that's a good thing that it works. That was that 12AX7 tube I swapped out from the bottom one. So now I'll power this one down, swap the speaker cable, and plug in the bottom one, and we'll swap out the tube that's not working, that I didn't see working in the bottom one, and see if that brings that back to life. Well, that'd be nice if I just gotta replace a couple of small tubes. All the power tubes look good in both of them when it was just looking at the heaters. Obviously I didn't have anything for volume out of the bottom one. It was getting some signal through, but it sounded like a 5-watt amp. Obviously you can tell it's way more than 5 watts, you know. But so that needs some help, as you can hear from that speaker, just, and that's in the power amp section, because that's what the volume's all the way down. You still got it. So we'll mess around with all the switches. Yeah, so none of them seem to really make a difference on it. So that's right at 2 right there. There's my treble pickup. So this definitely cranks, going through a 4x12. Underrated cab, it's only an 80-watt crate. So now that I know my amp works, I've been looking at some Eminence Texas heat speakers that are 150-watt speakers instead of having 420s. That'll handle these things better. So, good enough, happy so far. We'll try out the bottom one and see if that goes and come back. Okay, bottom V4. Works. Again, that's on 2 with the treble, bass, and mid-range all set to flat. This one, no reverb, because this is absolutely frozen solid. Won't move. So I'll put a little PB on that shaft, see if we can loosen it up. I changed out 2 of the 12XA7s on this one. That's weird, it just started humming. That hum wasn't there, it just came out of nowhere. Maybe a motor started in the house or something. But at any rate, I tried it and I had nothing. And so I looked in there and one of the 12XAs wasn't lit up. So I pulled it out, reseated it, powered it back up, and it lit up, and now we got sound. So I'm going to try reseating both of those 12XAs into the top amp and see if I get that one back too. So it could just be dirty sockets, oxidation from sitting up in the attic there for 16 years. That could be the noise I was getting out of the top one and the noise I'm getting out of this one now too. The hum really isn't too bad when you consider the volume I'm at. You know, that's pretty quiet. So, oh, and there it is, it just came in. So it might need a recap, it might not. I might get away with it, you know. That could just be dirty connections. So I'll take these apart, open them up, reseat all the pins, clean up the flower jacks on the reverb tanks, and just go through them and clean them up and make them happy. I might not have to spend any money on them. That'll be nice. So, Monch is smiling today.